Well, hello everybody. Welcome again. We're deconstructing Bootstrap still, trying to figure out how to do more advanced stuff with Sass CSS. And last time, if you happen to be following along, we broke everything. I couldn't quite get a handle on figuring out how to make these red circles alternate colors, but I think I have a way to fix that. I'm going to be using Django as a way to kind of hack this so I don't have to worry about like extra hard selectors with CSS. But what I've done basically is I've just made a loop that creates the same card over and over again. The only difference is that I'm assigning a BG dash and then a number for the class. And that way the template will pull in the class, and then I don't have to go in on my end of the CSS to figure out how to, find, how do I know that, we're on this second, red circle, change that to blue. I don't want to have to worry about that. So I'm just going to use the tools that I already have available for me. And so that is the modification I made to the template. So now let's figure out how to make that happen in our styles with our Sass. And I've got Sass running in the background, just so you know. And yeah, this is kind of where we stopped, right? We had this map of profile colors. And then I was foolishly thinking that you could somehow make it automatically alternate colors, but all it's doing is creating a color step class over and over again with a different background, and so it's overriding itself. So we're gonna get rid of this because that is kind of pointless, and I want to make one more modification to this little map because I think it's not ideal anyway, and I'm gonna change it to be a number just so I can match the template that I've already decided to go with. And a lot of design systems tend to use this thing, kind of a system where you have a general descriptor and then like a 1 through 9 or some kind of numbering system instead of explicitly calling it red, blue, green. I'm a fan of kind of a combination of those, so we'll just go with this so it's a little bit less readable. This probably isn't the best way to structure your naming for your classes, just because it's like, well, how do I know what's a for? How do I know when I'm creating a page and the designers have given me this thing that's yellow? How do I know to use color for? That's my only critique of that type of numbering system. I don't mind saying it's our yellow -4. But in this case, we'll just go with it just for simplicity, and I'll stop my rant on that one. So now we have our card profile colors. We have them, my BG1 is going to map to this. That's my intention is. And then BG-2 will be this blue color, etc. So now let's make the function to actually create these classes for me. Because we want a class for each of these, so I'm going to go at each, and then I think you can go ahead and call, since this is like, if you look at this as like, this is your key and this is your value, right? Kind of like a dictionary if you're familiar with Python, or what are they called? Just kind of object notation, like if you're doing JSON or something. You have your key and your value, so I'm pretty sure we can name it whatever we want. So I'll just say like, here's the name, and then the color is the value right here. And I'm gonna say for each of these in our card profile colors, in this map here, I want to do something on each of them. So basically what I'm saying is grab one, call it, and put the variable, this is what it's called as I'm using it. It's going to grab the 1 or the 2 or whatever we're on. Color, same thing with the value. And then I made the class BG dash, and then this is why the name would be a number. So we'll do a name. Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure with Sass, you have to, if you want to use if you want to output your variable as text, or kind of like right here, it's inside this class name. I want it to actually write out a 1, so I have to put this curly brace brackets around it with the number sign. Pretty sure that's how it works anyway. And then we want our background color to be whatever the color is that matches that name. So if I hit save, let's see, and then I'm pretty sure this isn't going to work just yet. So if I refresh, yeah, it's because these circles actually have a hard-coded background down here. So I'm going to get rid of that. And now let's see if that works. I'm going to go in here. Aha, it finally worked. So we have our alternating colors. So that's nice. That kind of ties off what we had from the last live stream. So there's an interesting way to tackle that. I would like to know, I don't know, I'd love to maybe go through an actual design system and maybe come up with some way to make this a little bit more readable, and like, I don't know, future proof, if you will. But yeah, I think this is a cool use case so far. It is dependent, of course, on your templating system. So if you're doing everything by hand, this probably is not ideal. But if you do have something that can loop through and pull through, things from your database or whatever, that's a pretty nice solution, actually. Okay, so that's the first thing we needed to wrap up. The next thing is, if we look at these, we've got our cards, right? These are just cards. I'd like to kind of clean that up, make it look maybe a little bit nicer, but also, yeah, sometimes it seems like, with cards especially, it seems like designers love to kind of make this, they're still essentially cards, but they're like different all the time. And so in this case, it's kind of stacked where everything's left aligned. You have the thing on top, a thing in the middle, and then sometimes people, like designers, like to do things that are like change it so that's all like horizontal instead. So I thought it'd be fun to start building out like a card system, I guess, in Sass, borrowing from some of Bootstrap's ideas with nested mixins. So I found this, I was looking at their carrot mixin right here, and I realized that they're actually including a mixin within a mixin. So that's kind of interesting, and it's also conditional because basically, from what I understand, the carrot is the little triangle that they put on some of the buttons, like a drop down, for example. And so I believe what this is saying is that if you have a direction identified that isn't down, like down is the default, of course, but if you say something else, then we'll change, the direction. Like if we want it to be facing up, then we'll include all of this stuff instead of all of this stuff, which is the default, to make that carrot look like it's pointing down. And so I thought that was an interesting way to kind of structure your styles by creating kind of your variants and then mixing those in when certain conditions are met. So anyway, and this is up here is the stuff that they use to like if the direction is down, include carrot down, that's up here. So include all of this stuff. If it's up, then do this. So it's kind of an interesting way to manage, I guess, the creation of classes with a bunch of styles that are dependent on a specific parameter. So anyway, let's try this out. We're gonna just make, I think we'll just make a card. Yeah, we've got like kind of our default, which is the vertical stacking. And then what if I want to have the image on the left? So if these, I put another set of cards down here so that we can mess with these, have the, the circle on the left side and then the text on the right. And so let's see if we can figure out how to do that in an elegant way with Sass. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to start off by doing just what I would do if I were coding this just my standard way. So I know that I'm pretty sure I called it horizontal as the class. If it's horizontal, then we're going to change, the flex direction to be row, I think. Let me double check here. So yeah, we're down here, horizontal on a card. And yeah, let's see what that does. See if that does anything. And it may be because I can't remember actually if we're doing this as a flex. Is this display flex card? Actually, I don't think it is. So I'm going to call it display flex. And there we go. Okay, so now it's working. It's kind of weird looking, but it is working technically the way that I said it would. We'll put in a little bit of a gap here, gap like 2 rem or something. And then, let's see. I'm trying to think of what's a, I'll probably want to also make that the case for just your standard card, kind of like here's your default, right? So I'll just put a display flex and flex direction is the column, just to be super explicit. So yeah, pretty much nothing has changed except for that little gap, which is nice. So now, yeah, how do we make this into something more interesting with... So we have kind of our duplicate style here, and then we have our variation here. And honestly, this could even be another duplicate style, just because then we have some nice padding up here between our text and our circle there. So let's do this. I want to take the styles out of having to be defined in this big long list of things. So I want to create a mixin, and this will just be card. I don't know what variables we need just yet other than our direction. I'll steal the name from Bootstrap there. Direction, and then the default was column, right? Yeah, I think we could do that. And then we know that we want display flex is going to be one of those that is on all of our cards for like the body, right? So I'll get rid of this, and then gap of 2 rem. That sounds great. So all of our cards are going to have this, and that's why I want to say include. Oops. @include card. I'll probably have to actually move this up above here. There we go. And let's see. So now we have our card class. So it's giving us this. So yeah, how do we change the direction? Because obviously I can cut this out, and I can say, what's it? At if. Okay, at if direction. If the direction, I think that needs to be this, equals row, then include this. I think that's right. Okay, if it equals that, it doesn't have quotes, which I find kind of interesting. So I think I thought that had to be the case, but yeah, if the direction, if it's just normal card, then it's that. Otherwise, if the direction is row, change the flex direction. I guess we would need this because I think row is row the default or is column. I can't remember on flex. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, maybe I guess where I'm getting stuck here in my strategy is that I'm like, well, then I have to include card both for the card and then also on its modifier class, which is kind of lame. So maybe I will just get rid of this and I'll put this back on card like this. And then we're literally just changing the direction in this case. Maybe we'll change this to card layout. Actually, I kind of like that better because then it's like, okay, I have your default card layout. It's already set up. And then when I have a modifier, then I'm going to change the card layout down here, but I'm going to give it a different direction, which is row, right? Do I do like that? Let's see what this does because I can't actually remember if that's the right. So far nothing is changing. So I believe that means that we're good. So if we pop open our dev tools, let's see, horizontal. Yeah, so it is overriding it like we'd expect. I'm getting, why is there a bunch of, okay. There's like 2 flex directions that are column. Interesting. But yeah, okay, so that's kind of interesting, right? I think we can still push this just a little bit more. Let me just make sure I'm not doing something. Oh, that's why we have an extra column. So there you go. Now we clean that up. It makes me feel a little bit better. So, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. So now that gives me an idea of like, so we have our layout, but maybe there are more components to our layout. Obviously, just swapping the direction, not too crazy, but actually, that's a good. So with responsive, we could add a responsive component to this, where it's like, you know, if it's this row, like we still want it to stack on mobile, so then we could add that in as some extra logic. I'm gonna grab this because this is one of my favorite aspects of the Bootstrap Mixins. Actually, is this this breakpoint mixin. So nice, so nice to be able to keep everything concise, be able to add in your media queries as you need. Like it's cleaned up everything for me. So yeah, I'm gonna change it to still be a column. Well, I guess actually you wouldn't need that because the default is already column. Oh, and that's another thing. Okay, so let me finish this train of thought. If the direction is the row, we want it to be anything from small and up to be that row layout. But if we get onto our mobile device, we want it to stack again. So I'm going to change it back to column, which is our default currently. So let's test that behavior. I'm going to go in here. We're going to go mobile. and let's try it out. So we get this small, oh, it's not really working. So there, let's see, I'm missing something. Let's check it out. Card horizontal, flex direction is a row still. It doesn't seem to have kept the breakpoint. Did I refresh? Oh, classic. Gotta refresh. And I did a hard refresh too, because I think I might have cached it by accident. So yeah, now it looks like it's working. There we go. So it is keeping that logic where once we get to that small breakpoint, we're gonna flip to that column layout. However, if we look back here just really fast, we are getting this overridden style. Flex direction of column is overridden. I just want to make sure that we're not like, I just wonder if we can get rid of this by going back here, and we're going to say, we're going to take this out of, the conversation. So like, it's not flex direction column and then we override it if it's the direction is row. I want it to just be one or the other, so we don't have extra stuff kind of weighing us down. So kind of like this little else. I wonder if we can do that. So okay, let's try it, right? Let's do @else. So this becomes our default, is the flex direction column. I actually wonder if that's going to mess this up, our responsive stuff, but let's check it out. I'm going to make sure I actually refresh this time. Cool. Whoops. And it does look like it's working the way we had before. So it is stacking. Refresh one more time. And then I just want to see what our markup looks like. So yeah, we no longer have that extra flex direction that is crossed out, and then above it has a flex direction of column. It looks like it's just putting in what's needed. So we don't have anything being overwritten, just because it just adds yet another little line of text that's not even doing anything. So I just think that's kind of cool that you can clean up your CSS and not have too many of these type of styles down here, where you've got things being crossed out and overridden all the time. I think that helps with your performance just a little bit. And yeah, it just makes it so much easier to look at. So, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty pleased with this. I do want to take this live stream in a little bit of a different direction next time. So I would like to continue on deconstructing Bootstrap, but maybe going into a design system or something else, so we can kind of let these go by the wayside, so you don't have to look at this nasty, non-designed page. But let me know what you think about that. If you want to see maybe going through and cleaning up like a legitimate style sheet that's already pre-made, and then actually making it better by making it more efficient. Because I think there's a lot of ways that we can take existing styles and then we create these mix-ins. And I want to start looking at the strategy of how do you do that? Like, how do you, because it's really hard for me to do that on the fly, like to think, oh, I'll make a mix-in and then somehow know how to use it. I think it's a lot easier to create your code first, your CSS first, and then look at where it's overlapping, look at where you're duplicating your effort, look at where you can add in logic to create your classes. I mean, really this is probably the only use case I can see for maybe, like there's a color grid that you already have and it's going to have a bunch of these, so you don't have to write BG dash whatever the name is 100 times. Yeah, just just make this do it for you. Let Sass do that for you. So I could see that being something to do like off the bat. But again, when I'm just trying to build a page, it's pretty tough for me to realize, oh, I need a mix-in. So yeah, I would like to know what you guys think. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me this morning or this afternoon, wherever you're at. And I'll